Dozen Customs. We're out here on the Jeep this evening. We left off over the weekend with getting the fenders primed. They came out good. I got them over behind us, sitting there curing and drying. I told you this week we were gonna start painting some stuff. So I decided the first thing I'm gonna start with is this back here. And I don't see any reason why we can't get this sanded down, taped off, and painted tonight. So let's get to it. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the guide coat that you guys recently seen me use on the hood. And instead of doing 220 like we did on the hood, we're gonna do 320, and then we'll go to 400 wet sand. So this piece should be pretty good, I believe. The only thing I think I banged into it with something, and there's a scratch back here, and that's the only thing I think that we gotta look for. I don't think it was a big scratch or a bad scratch. I think I banged it with the vacuum cleaner or something when we were vacuuming. So, and I think that is it right there. So, like I said, nothing too big. I think it'll come out with a 320. So you may have seen me do this when we were doing the hood, and it just helps clean all the powder out of the sandpaper. Sandpaper gets all clogged in the powder, and then it doesn't sand as well. So you may see me do this sometimes. Most of the time I rub it on my pants, just to get it out, and it'll help keep the sanding moving faster. Okay, I'm gonna finish. I gotta go around these rivets with this 320. So I'm gonna go around those real quick, and we'll be back to wet sand it out. So stay tuned. Okay, so we've gone through and we've gotten all the 220 done, or 320, I'm sorry, 320 dry. And now I have 3M 400 wet. And if you've never done this before, you have to watch what you do. So if you look, So there's a part number and whatnot, and it just says 400 wet or dry paper. And then there's a wrong stuff that you can get. I happen to have it. It was an accident to get it. So this is like a contractor's pack. I think we ordered this off of Amazon. And if you look, it says P400. So you don't want the P in front of any grit. It's not 400 grit. I mean, it is. It's what they say it is. But that P means something. I don't know what it means. But it is more like, I would say like a 220 grit instead of a 400. It is way rougher and it leaves a way heavier scratch. So, like I said, this says just 400, and that's what you want. And it says wet or dry. I always do it wet. Now, we don't have to go crazy with this because we've already knocked it all down with the 320. It all depends on what color you are putting down. If you're doing like a silver or a pewter, even a gold, something that's a little lighter in color and a heavy metallic, it can, the sand scratch from this can make the metallics lay funny. And like, say the whole thing sanded this, you've sanded everything in this direction, and then you have a spot that's sanded in this direction, you have a chance that that spot that is sanded in that direction will show up in like a silver or a pewter or even some lighter of the golds. So I would suggest, if you're doing a very light metallic color, going up to 600, and leave it off in a 600. So some people even go as high as 800. I think at that point you're kind of pushing the adhesion part of it. Paint needs scratch to adhere. And the higher grade you go, you'll actually start to see a shine in what you're doing, because the higher grit you go, it's almost turning into a polish, and you lose your adhesion to that. I know some people say that they go as high as 1,000, and most people say don't go any higher than 1,000. Me personally, I think 1,000 is too fine. I like to not go any higher than the 600. So, but this one, you're gonna find out shortly what color it is. I've mentioned it in a couple of other videos, that it's going blue. I don't know if it's been released as of now, but by the time you guys see this, it'll probably be released. I did the valve covers for the motor, so by now you should have seen what color it was going. But it's going it's actually it's like a 1977 or 1978 or 1979 1 year only color, from a Pontiac Firebird. So So I don't think that that color is light enough to I don't think it's light enough that we have to worry about, you know, 400 being too rough. Like I said, I'm not going crazy on this, just trying to knock it down just a little bit. So this is just water out of the tap. It's nothing special. Some people like to put a little dish soap in it to get some lubrication and help clean it. That's another thing with the wet sanding, is it helps clean. You know, if you've had your greasy paws all over it. If you've never done anything like this before, especially when you are sanding, if you're not wearing gloves when you're sanding, like I would suggest rubber gloves, you start to sand through on your fingerprints. I have sanded so much, like getting ready for car shows and stuff like that my fingertips are actually bleeding because I have sanded my fingers down to, you know, the raw part of the finger. And when you even just a little bit, when you start to sand off your fingerprints, just even a little bit, your fingerprints start leaking oils. And then when you touch this, you get the oils all over the thing, whatever you're working on. And if it doesn't cause a fisheye, it could cause an adhesion problem. And I had a vehicle come back. It's the only one that I've ever had it happen to me with. It was an old Nova that I did, and I did flames on it. It was a black cherry Nova, and I did flames on it. And he ended up bringing it back a few weeks after I did it, and he was like, what is this? What is going on here? And I started looking at it, and it was my fingerprints when I was laying the tape out to do the flames. And it actually, like, the clear had started to, I want to say, like, what is it? Like, it was losing adherence between the base coat and the clear coat, and you could see that, like, it was turning kind of a white-ish, like it looked like there was air under the clear. And like I said, I've only had that happen once, but it was really weird, and now I'm always really cautious of what I'm doing. And what it was that we did, like, the doors, the fenders, and the hood, both sides, and I had wet sanded down the whole car, and then my fingers were leaking all the oils, and when I went to lay the tape on, I was just leaving streaks of that oil. And yeah, it's so the word I was looking for was delam. It was looking like it was delamming, which means that the clear, the paint, isn't sticking to the base coat. Old Chevy trucks, they had a recall on them for a while, where the clear was actually flaking off of the base coat, and there was some kind of adhesion problem on those trucks from the factory. So, and that's what it looked like. It looked like there was, like, air between the base and the clear coat. So, kind of weird. So so now, like, if I'm doing something like that where I'm sanding down, you know, the paint to lay down some flames, I will wear rubber gloves while I'm sanding. I can't use the rubber gloves while I'm putting the flames down because I need my finger to run smoothly, and when you got rubber glove on, the rubber glove is always catching and you're jumping and across the panel, and it makes my tape lines choppy. So I'll wear the rubber gloves while I'm sanding, and then take them off when I'm laying the tape down, just so that I'm not sanding through my fingers. Okay, so from this point we're going to get it taped off. You can see that I broke through in a couple of spots. You know, it's just part of the game. That's what happens. And what I'll do is I'll dust a little sealer over this before we lay our base down, just to cover those spots. So I know I've talked about it in the past. Actually, I think it was just recently in one of these past videos here, that I had talked about why I don't seal the vehicles, because I'm not in a high-end booth, and if you get any dust or dirt in your sealer when you're going to wet sand and buff the car when it's done, and there's a piece of dirt in the sealer, you'll end up with like a little gray speck in the middle of your paint because you wet sanded down to that piece of dirt that was in the sealer. So I don't normally seal anything, but something like this, I'll just dust a little bit over it so that we're covered, and then I'll go on with my days. Sealer you can do wet on wet, so you don't have to wait for it to dry. You just can't go crazy and go super heavy with it. I just dust a little on there so we got some, and call it a day. So just wiped it down with a little pre-cleaner. Make sure our tape is gonna stick. Okay, we're ready to pre-clean it a little bit. I have, this is my primer. It's by High Tech. So it's direct to metal, high solids, gray primer. And I don't know if you guys can read that, or if you can pause it on this. It says wet on wet non-sanding sealer. So it can be used as primer or sealer. when I'm using it as a sealer, I over reduce it so that there's no build, no orange peel. And I just lightly coat it to where whatever it is that I'm wanting to cover, like a little, you know, one of those little spots of bare metal, I just kind of feather it on to cover that bare metal. That's it. No build, no orange peel, no nothing. I just want to cover that bare metal, and I just dust it on really lightly, and then we go on with the base coat. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get that done, and then I'll show you guys after I get the sealer on, and then I'll show you guys when it's done. So we'll be back. Okay, so I blew some sealer over the bare metal spots, and now I'm getting ready to put some base on. So I'll see you guys back here when we're done. Okay, we're back, and it is painted. And I think it looks pretty good. Couple small pieces of dirt, but we'll wet sand and buff those out. Not a big deal. You know, I mentioned before in a previous video, just a couple videos ago, that like we need to pull everything down from the shelves. We need to wipe everything down, wash everything. I need to hose out the shop. You know, sweep everything out the door, get it nice and clean in here. And then I put plastic up, and we paint inside that. Well, these small little pieces that we're getting ready to paint, like that rear bumper piece, the dashboard, the door jambs, that stuff is going to get painted before we do all that. When I go to paint the outside of the vehicle, that's when we will do a super clean. So these couple of pieces before that happens, it's gonna have, you know, some dust and dirt in it, and it'll have dust and dirt in it, you know, when we go to paint the whole vehicle, but it should be a lot less. So for what we did, I did blow out the shop earlier, and I did vacuum earlier before we did all this. So for what we did tonight, you know, there is a handful of little nibs that we got to nib and sand. I don't even think that we need to sand the entire piece. We just gotta take care of the couple of pieces of dirt that are in it, and I think we'll be good to go. So now I will be wet sanding and buffing this within the next like 48 hours. That is when I feel is the best time to wet sand and buff, when it's still just a little soft. I did use fast hardener on this. My fast hardener is 55 to 65 temperature, and it's 61 in here. So we are, you know, good to go with that. If I let it sit more than 48 hours, it being that it's fast hardener, it's going to get rock hard, and it's going to be harder to buff out. So we'll get it done in the next couple days here, and we'll be good to go. Thanks for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like seeing some stuff getting painted. Remember to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. I don't know if I said that yet, but if I did, I'm repeating myself. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. We left off with last night with getting this guy painted. Pretty happy with it. Couple things that I see, I think we can take care of them, but A couple of dirt nibs. You know, last night it was late. I have good lighting in here, and I even looked at it with the flashlight, but now looking at it with the daylight coming in and everything, there's a couple spots that I wish I could have taken care of before we painted it. It's a little late now, but we'll see how it wet sands and buffs out, and if I'm still unhappy with it, then, you know, it's no big deal to scuff it up and shoot it again. So one spot that I seen on the very bottom, there's a bolt on the bottom that the back side of it didn't get any color on it. You know, that's something I guess I can go tape off that bolt and respray that bolt if I want to. You know, just a couple little things that I think that we could do a little bit better on it. But we'll make that decision a little bit later. Right now, so the thing's already all taped off. So it wouldn't take much for me to sand it and scuff it and spray it when we're spraying something else. So, but we'll make that decision later. So what we're going to work on today is we're going to work on getting this back window surround painted. We need to get that upper windshield piece with the speed holes in it painted, and we're going to get the dashboard painted. I'm also we're going to paint around the windshield with the dashboard. Now it gets these surround pieces that go in there that we have to, I got to throw them in the blast cabinet, blast them up, prime them. It's those things. And those are going the color of the truck as well. And that goes around that windshield thing. But I'm sure I didn't take that out. My buddy that owns a truck, he actually pulled the glass out of this, and he took that out when he pulled the glass. I'm pretty sure that you're gonna see some of that around there when that screws in. Like, you might be able to see through, like, you know, a little 1/8 inch gap or 1/4 inch gap and be able to see the back of it. So I think if we paint that with everything, then when it gets mounted in there, you're not seeing anything through there. So so a couple things that I know that we got to take care of. When we were pushing this back wall out, we put 2x4 up there, and we were pushing off the 2x4. It was dumb on my part, but I had grabbed a piece of 2x4 out of the shed that at one point in time, not me, but at one point in time, somebody used it to, like, put a sidewalk in. It was like the backer for the sidewalk, so it had cement all over it. And I wasn't paying attention to which way I had the 2x4 flipped, and we scratched up some of that dashboard. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get it all out. If not, we'll swipe it with the razor blade and wet sand it out, and we should be good. But gotta watch that spot, so, or those couple of spots. So we're gonna unmask everything, and then I'm gonna grab some 220 or some 320. Sorry, I've been saying 220 for, you know, quite some time now, so I got 220 still stuck in my head. We're gonna grab some 320 and then some 400, and get this ready to be taped out. Okay, I forgot. I need to. You guys already got all dirty. I need to blow out the inside of that cab, all the cracks, crevices, down inside by the front, cab corners and everything. I know that there's sand in there. I looked inside there, so I'll need to get the vacuum, clean all that out, blow it all out, get everything all nice and cleaned out before we paint. So I'll be back once that's done. Okay. I vacuumed, I blew everything out, blew the doors out, vacuumed everything. I probably spent the last 20 minutes just blowing and vacuuming over and over and over again. And when we very first started, it was just sand everywhere. Now we're not getting that, but I am still getting a lot of stuff coming up. Just dirt and flakes and rust and little bit of sand. But I think we got it pretty well cleaned up. So we're gonna go ahead and get this stuff painted, and then when we go to do the bed liner in here, which I ordered that bed liner, it should be here in a few days. We'll go ahead and we'll blow everything out again. Before we do the bed liner, we gotta do the jambs. And I just seen something over there that we need to fix and repair before we paint the door jambs. I'm not sure what happened exactly, but I know at one point in time I had jacked up on that rocker, lifting the cab up, and I think that might be what caused it. It looks like it cracked right where one of the welds are. So we gotta grind that out, find out what cracked. If it was the weld that cracked, we gotta weld it back up and rebody work it out. If it's just a body work that cracked, then we just need to grind out that crack and refill it and reprime it and whatnot. It sucks, but it happened. It's there. I don't know exactly how it happened. I think I might know, but is what it is. I didn't see it until we started cleaning and blowing stuff out and vacuuming, and I was like, what is that? And there's like 2 cracks like this big. So better that it happens now instead of when it's painted. So we're gonna take some 400 here. Need some new sanding blocks. They're looking pretty sad. Colleen went to go pick me up some more primer today, and I told her to grab me one, so hopefully she comes home with it. Alright, I'm gonna give that a minute. I just wiped it down with some pre-cleaner. I think it looks good. Good enough for an interior surround on here. I think that will be okay. I see one little, like, it looks like it may have been a pinhole that got filled that we weren't able to sand out completely. Like, it got filled with primer. It almost looks like just a little chip down here on the bottom. Very small, like the size of a pinhead. Maybe it'll fill in with base coat. Definitely by the time we get to clear, it'll be fine. You just may see it in the base coat. But I think it's good enough for, you know, an inside piece that's behind your head that, you know, no, you're never gonna see. So, and plus there's a, you know, the glass goes in there, and then there's a rubber seal that goes in there. It may be covered for all I know. I don't remember what it looked like when it had the glass and the rubber seal in. I don't even know, you know, does this back one, does the glass go in from the outside or the inside? I think it goes in from the outside. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't pull this glass, so it may be covered, it may not, who knows. But I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we're gonna get this back window ticked off, and then we're gonna jump up here. So we'll be back. Okay. That's ticked off. Let's jump to the front. I'm gonna put some guide coat, at least on the very face of this, what you're gonna be staring at the entire time while you're in here. Okay, so I am going to slide this away so I'm not sitting in a hole. Got a block. We're gonna block this area out. If you guys have watched our previous videos, there is a big dash screen that goes here that is the radio, the speedometer, the tachometer, and all that good stuff, GPS. So this screen covers a good portion of this, but I want it to be flat, and this is where we scratched it. I don't know if you guys can see in the video, there's a couple scratches there, there's a couple there. I have 180 on here. It's a little rough for paint, but I'm gonna try and knock these scratches out, and then we'll switch over to the 320. So, and I'm only going to use this in this area, and then we're going to switch over to just hand sanding, because everything else is just curves. Okay. So we got this half of the dash in 320, and I have it scuffed. I'm gonna jump up here to this piece. Now this piece is still, it's a rough piece. I'm not looking to make it perfect. I just thought that it would look cooler being blue than being in the bed liner. So I really didn't do a whole lot up here other than scuff it and shoot it. If you guys remember back in the videos when I worked on this, there was a couple of holes in here that were drilled for something else, accessories, maybe a previous mirror that was in here, and we got rid of those holes, but that was it. So like I said, I'm not expecting this to be perfect. I just want it to be blue. Okay, so we have that side ready to go. I'm gonna work on getting this other side ready to go, and then I'm going to figure out so I think when we tape this off, we're gonna have to like tape the paper this way, and leave this window open so that I can get the back side of everything. From inside, I can't get that back side, and you can see that all the paint that's been on there, it looks to me like it was all painted from the inside because you couldn't get the paint in there. There's a couple of bare spots over there as well. So I think that we are going to leave the window open. We'll tape off the inside, and then we'll tape off the outside, and we'll plastic everything up, and leave the window open so that I can get to it from both sides. So makes it way more difficult to tape off because we got to tape off both sides. It's not like that back window where we were able to just back tape it and put a piece of paper. It'd be nice to be able to do that, but I don't think it's going to happen this time. So we'll be back when Maybe we'll be back when we start wet sanding, or we'll be back when we're ready to start taping. Either way, we'll be back. Okay, we've gotten everything in 300 in a scuff head, and now it is time to do some wet sanding. So just like everything else, the rear piece, the rear window, 400. Okay, I don't know, I think Colleen said it was 5 o'clock, yeah, it's 5:15. I have been out here since, I don't know, 10:30 or so. So I've been out here all day. Colleen just got back from Chicago. She went out there to get me some supplies for this, amongst some other things. Usually when we run out to Chicago, we, you know, all our family and friends and whatnot still live out in Chicago, so we try and plan a day to go out there and, you know, do everything in one day. So she's been to her mom's and a couple other places out there. So she just got home. I have not eaten lunch yet. I did not take my old man nap yet. So I am going to go do that stuff. Go see her. She's been gone since like 10 o'clock, and see how everything went and how she's doing. And Keegan stopped by. He's seen the back. It's the first time. If you guys didn't know, Keegan, he's my buddy that owns this truck. He stopped by and seen this back piece. He's super happy with it. So, yeah, so that's good. All we have left to do is we got to wet sand the driver's side section of all of this. And then we're ready to start taping off. So when we come back out here a little later on this evening, we'll get that done and start taping everything off, hopefully get everything taped off. I'm not going to shoot to try and get this painted this evening. Maybe I will. We'll see. Last night I was out here till 12:30 at night getting that back piece painted. If we come out here to this evening and we try and get this stuff painted tonight, we will be out here that late again. So you know, I try not to work past 10 with the compressor going and all that and making noise because of the neighbors. But then again, also with us doing some paint work, it is kind of better to do it at night because then, you know, nobody's out and about. So maybe we'll do it tonight. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow morning. I don't know. We'll have to see how far we get tonight and what time it is. But yeah, I got this guy up here so that I don't have to open the door to air this place out, so that we can keep the door shut and just kick him on, and then it's all filtered and it just filters right outside. But I think I'm going to move him. I don't like him over I wanted them centralized over the top of the vehicle so that everything's sucked up and not over. But I've already hit my head on it a couple times working on this thing, so I don't think where it's at. I think we're gonna move it over here, and we're probably gonna do that in the next couple of days here. Get that moved over and get that plumbed outside so that we can start using him, since we are at the painting process of this project. So anyways, enough chit-chatting. I will be back out here later, so stay tuned. So everything's looking good. There is a couple things that I need to seal. Right here we got a little bit of bare metal. Right here we got a little bit of filler showing through. It's where one of those scratches was. And we have a little bit of bare metal and some filler showing through right there. So just like the back, we will just blow a coat of sealer over that before we lay our base. Wet on wet. Colleen did get me my new sanding block, so that's good. Not that we used it on this. As you can see, I hand sanded it all. Now, I think that will be okay with just how I did it, especially since it's a dashboard that's inside. But most of the time you want to refrain from hand sanding, because if you're like on the outside, like door or flat panel, and you're hand sanding like this, it will leave finger marks that you could see in your base coat when you're done. Like I said, in here I'm not really too worried about it. Small areas, we went every which direction that we could, so plus it was sanded, you know, it was sanded in 320 first, so we weren't really trying to sand anything out of it with the 400 other than just a 320 scratch. So, and we're going to wipe everything down with a little pre-cleaner. We'll let it dry up for a second, and then we're going to start taping. My buddy that owns the truck did just message me and said that he wanted to come hang out over here, which is fine, but I won't have the camera on. I'm sure he wouldn't care, but probably gonna turn you guys off while he's here. So if that's the case, we will see you guys when it's all done, and yeah. So I also decided well. So, see, I took the paper in behind this. I'm gonna run another piece of paper down. We're gonna tape off around the floor. That is all scuffed up, ready to go. I'm gonna paint that blue There is 3 of them. There's one that goes here, here. Actually, there's 5 of them. One here, one there, and then there's 2 that come in right here on each side. And I think that that will be a cool, just little offset. I've explained in other videos that, like, me personally, I like transitions, like having a flat black core support on the Monte Carlo, but all the bracketry and hardware is gloss black. Like, so I like that transition. I think it looks sharp. It draws your eye to it. It looks good. Now, majority of that will be behind the seat. You will see the 2 little ones that go up to the window. So, but, you know, if he tips the seat forward or whatever to stick stuff back there or whatever reason, now he'll have a reason to flip that forward, but it'll look sharp back there. So, we'll be back to start taping unless my buddy stops by. Then we'll be back after it's painted. Okay, we are back out here. My buddy that owns the Jeep was here for, I don't know, I'd have to look, a couple hours maybe. And he actually, I put him to work. He helped me get everything all taped off. And as you can see, we are starting to get some color on stuff. So we're getting there. It's starting to look good. So next time I check in, we'll be all done. See you guys back here in a bit.
Oh,